Hello. Wanted to talk about how stupid humans are because leading up to this Iran war and everything, there's all sorts of people that are like, well, we're just kind of hopeful for the negotiations and everything, da 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 da, and it's like, dude, what did they just do in Venezuela? And again, you're just gonna let the evil fool you again, going back to that seen in probably lots of movies, but the Spaceballs, where the Darth helmet was, good is dumb. And sure, evil plays dumb in movies a whole lot, like Doctor Evil and all sorts of shit, but they're really not. And they use you. That gets you to harm your children while making it seem like it's not that. They'll get you to attack Jesus in so many ways. Roofy raping him constantly, and then he'll end up trauma responding into liking anal. So then you'll attack Jesus for that, and then you'll when you do, there's all these Christ is King people. Christ is King, but when an actual Christ shows up for you, you guys attack him. And then there's the No Kings protest, which is just controlled opposition by your false idols that you all like listen to and obey, which are the demons, which are acting like kings. So you want someone to help out, but then when that helper shows up, you constantly fucking torture him. There's so many lifetimes because we're doing this revelation shit and end times shit already happened. It already happened. All these things already happened, and all you're doing is being tricked by the evil into reruns. And good is very stupid. All the things that you do to children, I mean, from cutting off the umbilical cord too early to circumcising them to poking them, making them leak energy when they come into this world, injecting them with poisons, sending them to institutions that brainwash them to be used by the fucking demons. Just like the service to country that they sell, but it's really service to the demons. That would be a little harder to sell, but way more honest. And good is just fucking stupid. And then, you torture Jesus for thousands of years, being tricked into it, but, and I'm supposed to help out, and I'm supposed to help out. I get fucking attacked every single time I come into this fucking place really hard because the evil has their ways of seeing us light beings come in. And they do it in very tricky ways. And I'm supposed to help out. I was thinking about that homestead shit, and then I'm like thinking maybe I need to have a homestead where there no kids, no kids. You're gonna fucking do your little, be manipulated into whatever. You got to protect your children, but you're really just, using them as a weapon, being tricked into it, or you're harming them, or both. Most of the time. I can't say all the time, but it's really close to all the time because there are natives of the lands and Amish. So I guess there's that. But most of you do a horrible job, all by demonic design, because you're all living in the dark ages, don't realize it. And then helpers like me come to help out, and we get shot down, for life, pretty much. Starting all the way back when I was going to Notre Dame, and they did this soup kitchen, and I had a really fun time, but I'm like a really destroyed, traumatized child, so I'm just kind of like doing what I'm told. Very similar to Michael Jackson, and many other children, and they're just kind of all on autopilot doing what they're told, and then they never bring me back. And then I'm helping out at the food pantry, all the way to recently where I'm helping out at the food pantry and they bring someone in that looks exactly like my first girlfriend, my first love I ever had, to try to invent issue, which of course was successful, and they're, using your children like cattle because that's how stupid you fuckers are. Um, and try to invent issue here and there. Just recently, last week, I go to the 24-hour fitness in the Lowry, and there's a yoga instructor and whatnot, and I chit chat with her occasionally, and it's always about stuff that she brings up. If she would talk about her grandma or grandpa, I would talk about that. She brings up her child though, so I'm like, try to, I'm sorry the evil trains your kids to not listen to you, and then I think, some of the child protectors, but you so often look like the child fuckers, try to invent issue out of that, and just on and on and on, trying to do this self fulfilling prophecy. Chris is bad, like, God, he wants to talk about us adults raping him with our children. Oh my God. What was, he keeps victimizing us. And just, me trying to run for president, do all those positive things that the people want, be like a JFK on steroids, although I'm a bit of a freak, I guess, so that gets, held, against me, I get sent to jail multiple times for shit I never did, and just, and on and on and on, and I'm supposed to fucking help you fucks, and I'm supposed to help you fucks torture this soul for fucking thousands of years or be tricked into it, but there's very little difference to me. And I don't need to forgive it. I don't need to forgive it at all. You know, maybe when you guys pull your heads out of your asses, maybe that will be deserving of forgiveness. But until we actually reach that point, I am going to retain it and I'm not going to be sour about it. But I have the right to talk about it. I have the right to talk about these things. And then you're totally manipulated into, lifelong torture on people, but they're over 18, so it's okay. It's okay. It's you didn't know about all the torture when they were a child and teenager, but now they're adult, so it's okay. Is it okay? The good is really stupid. And you just let the evil use you like cattle. And that's the world you manifest for yourself. Because you're fucking stupid.